All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, Bante.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. Let me know if there's any problem. So today we are looking at, well, we'll see. I think we're going to go through rhythm and stress quickly and then move on to the actual grammar. But first, why don't we try having a quiz for everybody? Pull up, take a piece of paper or a piece of paper, I guess. Close down any textbooks or study aids. And write out the Pali alphabet from beginning to end without cheating. The great thing about teaching a Buddhist course is I know you can't cheat or lie. If you're not able to do it, don't worry, but those of you who can, write it out. Okay, so let's go through the list of everyone. Andrew, everyone pull up your alphabet. You can watch my screen if you want. Andrew, how'd you do?
Let's see. Everything is correct except I forgot the va.
It's important.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah, it looks like I got it all.
Okay, Matthew? All your dots in the right place?
Yeah.
All right. Matthew?
I didn't finish the ungrouped, but let me check.
Oh, did I go through this too quickly?
I was just at the last group, but I think I got everything. Yeah. Yep.
Anybody else need more time? Matthew F?
I just joined, so what is the question, please?
You weren't here last week?
I was here last week. Yes, I was.
Okay, so write out the Pali alphabet without looking at anything, without cheating.
Okay.
Out from memory. You can do it. We'll come back to you.
I wrote it out over the last week, but not without looking.
All right. So now close everything down and do it without looking on a piece of paper. We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Max? Wait, didn't you take this course before?
Yeah, I was just listening in.
All right. McGill?
I got everything. I didn't remember the dots and the avaga, the last three, wa, saha. I had them in reverse order.
Ulu? Were you here before as well?
Yeah, but only maybe three sessions.
Ulu? How did you do? I can't hear you. I'll come back to you. Roy?
I got the whole. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I got the whole alphabet right, but I messed up the dots, particularly in the nasal. Yeah.
Ulu? Still can't hear you.
How about now, Bhante?
Yeah, now I can. How did you do?
Yes. I believe I got all. I believe I got the alphabet.
All right. Sanda?
I got everything correct,
Great.
including the dots.
Sean?
I got everything but the dots.
Yeah, I'll have to work on your dots. It's important. You'll have to remember, because some words, there's not so many that are going to give you a lot of problem, but there are, like, off the top of my head, and I'll put this as one of our examples, we have atta and then I'll put these ones. So these are two different words, atta and atta. The second one is the alveopalatal. The first one means meaning. It's used quite a lot. Atta is also used quite a lot. The second one is 8. It's in the number 8. So the dots are important. Zay. Zay, are you here? Can't hear you.
You might have to set up push to talk in the settings.
I thought I made it so you don't need push to talk anymore.
I think it's set individually.
Yeah, you shouldn't need push to talk, but if it's set up, you have to learn how to use it. Okay, let's go back to Matthew F. How did you do?
I remembered maybe half, so I have to work on the memorization. And during the homework, I did have one question, which is, what is the correct way to pronounce the dentals, please?
Dentals is with the tongue touching the back of the teeth.
And so how does it sound different from alveopalatal? Because they have the same letters.
Yeah, for the ones in those, the alveopalatal, your tongue is curled back, and it's the bottom of your tongue is pressed against the alveopalatal ridge. So it's like touch the roof of your mouth with your tongue, and then it's pressed against the ridge, and then try to say dot, 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 no.
Ta, n, and then dentals would be t, ta, d, da, and I don't know about n. How do you do n with the dentals?
Same way, just with the teeth, with the touching the back of the teeth. No, no,
N.
no, no, no,
N.
no. There's a very minor difference between the sounds.
Okay, so it sounds similar.
Yeah, they do
Thank
sound
you.
similar. Okay. Well, that's that then. Zay, I couldn't get to you, but hopefully you got it.
Bante, can I ask you if you can to zoom the screen? I cannot see the letters there for me.
Oh, yeah?
Thank you.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
I could remember most, but I still need to practice.
Okay. All right. Today we're going to start by looking at rhythm and stress. This is not terribly important for learning the language, but important for learning how to speak the language or chant the language. It has a tangential use because it helps you understand, or it involves the understanding of length of syllables, which is somewhat important for grammar. Maybe not. Anyway, it's important for speaking. Okay, so the first thing to understand is syllables. A vowel is the core of a syllable. That's why they're called sara. So, for example, this word has 3 syllables: nib, ba, and na. Same with this one: in, dri, ya. Now, how to separate them, I'll explain in a second. There are 2 kinds of syllables, diga and rasa. Diga is long, rasa is short. No, I don't actually explain. Okay, let me explain and maybe add to this. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll just add. Okay. Syllables are... What's the rule going to be? Well, that's not what I meant to do. Right, consonants before vowels are always included with the vowel. They precede. Okay? So if you come across a consonant, if it is followed immediately by a vowel, it goes with the vowel. So this N is always going to go with the E. Same with this R. Consonants, let's say preceding, just for technical. Consonants preceding consonants go with let's put it this way, following vowels go with the vowel they follow only if they are followed they precede a consonant. It's a terrible way of saying it, but I don't know how to say it any easier. Let's make a rule out of that. Is there a border or something? Oh, it's a table maybe. Okay. So that's the rule, and that's a kind of an important rule when you're trying to figure out length of the syllables. So what this means, the first one is fairly easy. If the consonant is before a vowel, it goes with the vowel, always, like this one as well. But this one follows the vowel. It doesn't precede a vowel. This one doesn't precede a vowel, so what do? Well, it's preceded by a vowel, so put it with the vowel. I'm sure there's a better way of saying this, but with this consonant, same thing. It's not followed by a vowel, but it's not followed by a vowel, but it follows a vowel, so it goes with the vowel. This one, on the other hand, is not followed by a... Yeah, I've messed this up. Preceding consonants is how we'll have to say it. If they follow one. It's going to be something like the syllable they precede, but whatever. All right. I mean, I'm just trying to give a rule, but it's not hard to understand the idea. This one goes with the vowel because it's followed by a consonant. But this one is followed by a consonant and precedes a consonant, so they both go with the one after them. Now, that's only important for what we're talking about now, the length of the syllables. So the rules for a syllable being long are when it contains a long vowel, of course, or when it is ended by a consonant. It has a consonant in it. So an easier way to say this is if there's two consonants together or more consonants, the first one goes with the preceding vowel, preceding syllable, and the rest go with the one after. Or an even easier way to say it is if you've got a conjunct consonant, it means two consonants or more together, the preceding syllable is long, no matter what. That's the easiest way to say it. So this one's long because it's followed by a conjunct consonant. And that's how you're going to always think of it anyway. You're going to see two consonants together and say, oh, the one before it then is a long syllable. Even though the vowel is short, it's a long syllable. So this is a long syllable, this is a long syllable, and this is a short syllable. Any questions?
Could you say those, please?
Nibbana.
Okay. So if you're putting it together, then because that sounded like a short E to me there, unless I'm mishearing it. Yeah,
that's how you say this, like E.
Right, but then if the two consonants are back to back, then it becomes long? Or do you mean like it's the first syllable stress?
The vowel doesn't become long. the syllable
Okay.
length becomes long. So there's right. It's a good question.
Got it.
How you call it long is there's actually a pause after it. So if I were to say it in rhythm, it'd be nibbana.
Okay, great. Thank you.
If I was to say nibbanang, all right, then this would be 4 syllables. Then the rhythm would be nibbananang. Wait, what did I say? No, there's no such thing as nibbananang. Nibbana pachayo. This means something that is a support or a requisite for nibbana, a cause for nibbana, something that is a condition for nibbana. So when we talk about doing good deeds, we'll say, may this be a nibbana pachaya. Nibbana pachayo hoti. Yeah, may it be. Okay, so this is said nibbana pachayo. This one being short, so it's long, short, short, long. So this is an O is long. Nibbana pachayo. Nibbana pachayo. You got it? So still a short E, but nibbana pachayo.
Thank you.
Bhante, is it not just a matter of it being a doubled consonant, like the 2 B's in a row and the 2 C's in a row?
Yes.
Oh, is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, I was saying it more complicated than that. I was trying to say how we divide them, because it's easy to say you've got all these letters and that makes the one before it long, but how are you going to say what's in what syllable? It's not that important. You're probably never going to encounter this in the rest of the grammar, but for this part, if you want to know what is the first syllable is just the first letter in the conjunct consonant.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it this way. Let's say single consonants go with the vowel they precede. For multiple consonants, the first one goes with the previous syllable. The rest go with the following syllable. That's still not perfect, but maybe easier to understand. Wait. Yes, single consonants go with the vowel they precede. Vowel after them, let's make it simple. So you understand single consonants when it's not 2 stuck side by side. And important to remember is that TH is a single consonant. So for example, this one, ta. This isn't 2 consonants. This is 1 letter, right? Don't ever make that mistake of thinking this is 2 consonants. So this is not long because this is still a single consonant. This is atta, both short. However, if it's atta, then this one is long. All right, so now we can move on to something that you might actually have to recite in your life.
Bhante?
Yeah.
Is it accurate to say that there will never be 2 consonants in the same syllable?
No, because...
Sorry, there will never be 2 consonants together in the same syllable?
No, because, well, it's very rare. But here's an example. This is actually from Sanskrit. It's just a leftover from Sanskrit. It's rare to find 3 together, but this is an example. Because there's 3 together, you've got 2 in the following. Dri is a single syllable.
Okay, so there are this They can go together.
Yeah, it's just not very common. And in fact, I think it's limited to R. I don't know if there's any other. No, that's not entirely true. No, and there's other examples. See, the other thing is, if there is no, for this rule, if there is no previous syllable, then they all go with the following syllable. And so here's an example. An example is complex example. And this one. It's the wrong font. Alright, well, whatever. Kwahang. Kwahang is actually from Sandhi. It's not an actual word. It comes from Koahang, but this is how it works. This is a single word that you'll see in the text. It's actually quite common. So this is a single consonant. This is another consonant. These two are together. Because there's no preceding vowel, they both go with the following vowel. And this only is for words, right? It doesn't mean if there's a vowel in another word that they go with it for some reason. This rhythm stuff or so-called syllable stuff, like if this is atta, you'll see atta koahang. It's two separate words. This is still like this. The KH doesn't go with the previous one because it's a different word. This is attakwahang. Attakwahang. This is long and this is long. This is long because it has a vowel. This is long because it's followed by ang, which does make it long. This is considered to be a consonant. Ends in a consonant or nigahita.
Thank you.
I guess nigahita is considered a consonant, I suppose.
Can I ask as well, in the first word, nibbana pachayo, you cannot hear ch at the end of pa.
It's a good question. You can, but it's more like a stop, like you stop the breath.
Okay.
But chayo, you're preparing to say it. It's not chayo, like not twice. Chayo. Yeah. You prepare your mouth for it by a sort of a stop. Chayo. In Thai, they will actually from some words make a ta sound, but that's just the way it's a idiosyncrasy of Thai.
Thank you.
All right, so for this one, Bud Dhang Saranang Gacchami. Long, short, long, short. So the rhythm is like this. So if I didn't explicitly state, long syllables in rhythm when spoken are twice as long as short syllables. That's how it's simple. 2 for 1. 2 to 1. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Buddhang saranang gacchami. That's how you'd say it if you're chanting it. For this one we have short, long, right? Because it's double. Long, short. Short, long. Short, long. Long, short. And the rhythm of this is Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. tassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
So is the last word consisting of all long syllables?
Is it? You tell me.
Sambuddhasa. Sambuddhasa. Maybe the last syllable is short?
Maybe. No maybes.
I think the ta and sa are both short.
Aha. Well, we've got a disagreement now. Which one of you is right? Anybody else?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with Matthew because there's two S's there. So das da would be long.
Yeah, I think you're right. I didn't see that.
Well, Matthew wasn't sure though. What about the last syllable?
I think it's short
Why?
because it ends with a vowel, it's a short vowel, but it doesn't. It's not followed by a consonant.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't fulfill either rule A or B. Therefore, it's not diga. I guess I should have said otherwise it's short. Otherwise, it is rasa. I think this is the only lesson we'll have today, and today we'll actually turn to a text, and then I'll have you all try to read through the text, and we'll see what's long and what's short. All right, put you all on the spot. Stress. This is a little tricky, and I guess as a concept to wrap your head around. So let's take a little bit of time with this. See, the thing about rhythm and stress, it's not going to help you understand the language, but it's going to help you say it properly, as opposed to some people saying, a very common one is, for example, vipassana. Vipassana is something you'll hear from Western Buddhists, and for Eastern Buddhists, it doesn't sound right. Vipassana. So if you want to say it so that people can understand you, and as it was supposed to be said, and as makes sense, both rhythm and stress are useful. So when I say vipassana, I'm both, because look at the word vipassana. Vipassana. This one. It's a feminine word, vipassana. So if I said that vipassana, I'm making this long and I'm stressing it. So we should know right now that this is not correct to make this one long. Vipassana. Which ones are long and which ones are short? Anybody want to take a crack?
The pas and na are long.
Yeah. So how would you say this?
Vipassana. Na.
Yeah, but don't say the S twice. Vipassana.
Okay. Vipassana.
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 Okay. That's rhythm. But you hear
But
they
I have
also...
a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, very quickly.
No.
I've heard vipassana pronounced as vipassana. Is it that there's an avaga missing in Pali that's in Sanskrit? Vipassana and shamatha.
Yeah, there's no sha in Pali.
Got it.
That's a good
Thanks.
question.
Thanks.
But I think in Sanskrit it's actually vipashyana with a ya as well. Sha. It's a retroflex sha and it's a ya. Vipashyana. Because the verb is pashyati. Pasati in Pali. Pash is the root and it's a ya. We'll learn about roots and verbs. You add a ya suffix to that one. Pashya. But pashya in Pali will never work. neither will pasya. Pasya becomes passa. Pali hides a lot. If you know anything about Sanskrit, it helps you understand Pali a lot, because if you don't, you look at this and it looks no different from this, which is actually interesting, because in Sanskrit this would also be buddhasya or buddhashya. I can't remember. Buddhashya. But it hides the fact that this is actually pash and ya. But in Sanskrit, it doesn't hide that. So Sanskrit is like a technical language that it's harder to speak because of the conjuncts, but it provides more grammatical information than Pali.
Do you know what came first, Pali or Sanskrit?
I don't. I've heard some people say that Sanskrit was never really a language. It was kind of formally created by the Brahmins. Pali was something close to what people actually spoke. If you look at the Vedas, they're not even in Sanskrit as far as I understand. They're in a Vedic, which is also similar. But those are texts, and Panini was this grammarian who created the first Sanskrit grammar. I think just kind of created it artificially and very formally. I don't think that people ever actually spoke Sanskrit. Until the priest started speaking it. But I don't know. I wasn't there. Okay, so let's go on to stress. 2 rules for stress. If this is true, you follow. If the first one's true, you follow it. Otherwise, the second one, right? So stress and words. Sorry, let's talk about what stress is. So as I said, you'll hear this often as vipassana. And you'll notice they've also put the stress on this a. Vipassana. So stress is we don't even realize this in. Sorry, I have a call. I have to take this. This is about California. Okay, back. Right, so they've given the stress. Stress is not something we think about in English. We use stress to provide meaning. In Pali, they don't use stress to provide meaning. Stress is locked in words. So if I say, for example, I say we go, I use that as a response to the question of, for example, should we stay or should we go? If I say, then I would follow with, I say we should go, and I put the stress on go because the question was about that word. If the question is, who says we should go? Then I would say, I say we should go. I put the stress on the I. We use stress in ways like that. They don't do that in Pali. Stress is, they may have had other ways or other kinds of stress or something, but formally stress is locked in words. So the stress, you stress the syllable as follows. Stress is given to the penultimate syllable if it is long. penultimate, ultimate is last, pen is, I don't know, whatever, second to last. Otherwise, it's given to the anti-penultimate, the one before the penultimate, the one before the last, the one before the one before the last. So what does that mean? This is the penultimate syllable, the second to last syllable. If it's long, you put the stress there, but it is not long. Otherwise, no matter whether this one is long or not, it gets the stress. So this word is pronounced vipassana. Vipassana. And if there aren't enough syllables, then there's no stress. For example, this one, namo, no stress. Namo. So here, namo, no stress. Dasa, this has stress because it's long. Dasa. And then for this one, where's the stress?
Ga.
Ga. Because wa is not long. Wa would be the stress. But this would be bhagavato. Bhagavato. I don't think people ever say it like that, but that's how you're supposed to say it. Bhagavato. Bhagavato. I've never been taught to say it like that, but that's how you should say it. Bhagavato. And then this one. Same basically.
Arahato.
Arahato. Bhagavato arahato. And this one, samma. Because it is long. What about this one?
Sambuddhasa.
Dasa. Yeah, dasa. Yeah, you got it. And here's some more examples. Tapasi. Adisakara. Vipassana. Nibbana. So this is long here, but it's not stressed. Nibbana. Nibbana. Yeah, that's all we're going to get to today is rhythm and stress. I think now we'll turn to the... More questions? We'll turn to the Chakupala text. If you're following along, you can open it up. There's a link in the pinned messages. All right, so let's look at the verse to start with. Maybe we'll just take turns reading. Amar, you want to start us off?
Mano pabangama
Just this word, just this word, just this word. Say it again.
Mano pabangama.
Okay, but there's no rhythm there. Say it again, slowly.
Mano pabangama.
This one is long. Mano pumbangama. Mano pumbangama.
Mano pabangama.
Where's the stress?
Pu.
Here?
Yeah.
What's the rule for stress?
Long, right? Long.
Stress goes on the penultimate syllable, second to last.
Okay.
If that syllable is long, is this one long? Is ga long?
Yes.
Ga is long?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So syllables are long if they have a long vowel. Do you know which are the long vowels? Let's go back to our rule. A syllable is diga, long.
Right.
When A, it contains a long vowel, A, I, U, A, O, or when it contains a short vowel and ends in a consonant or nigahita. So does this one end in a consonant or
No,
nigahita?
this is short.
The only way it would end in a consonant is if there were two consonants following it. You'd take one of them. But when it's only followed by a single consonant, that consonant goes with the one after it. So this is short. Here we have two consonants, right? That's how I knew to separate them into separate syllables and not do like this. Not like this, because this one's follows a vowel, so it goes with that vowel. When there's a conjunct consonant, the first one goes with the previous syllable. If there's more than one, then if there's more than two, then the rest go with this one. So this syllable, and here again we have two consonants, so we have to give one to the previous syllable, and the rest go with the following syllable. So this is bang. Is bang long? Or it doesn't matter actually, because if this one is short, then the one before it always gets the stress. Whether it's short or long, doesn't matter. So stress is here. Manopubangama. Manopubangama.
Manopubangama. Manopubangama.
Matnopubangama. You have to clap. So you can clap while you do it. Matnopubangama. Or if you have a metronome. I can't do it with the metronome. Matnopubangama. This is how Pali Speak app that I mentioned. If you have an Android device, you can listen to me say these. Copy and paste a word like this in there, and it'll give you not the stress. It might give you the stress. I think it might give you the stress, but at the very least, it gives you the rhythm. Matnopubangama.
Manopubangama.
That's the rhythm. Okay, Andrew, try this word. You get an easier one.
Dhamma.
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 Dhamma. So the first one is the stress. Dhamma. Matnopubangama dhamma. Okay, Mark.
Manoseta.
This one is also long because of the O. Manoseta.
Manoseta.
And these are retroflex, so make sure your tongue is curled back. Manoseta.
Manoseta.
Seta. Seta. This one, so the stress is on the se. Manoseta. Seta.
Manoseta. Seta. Manoseta.
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 Yeah, so kind of say this one like you're angry. Seta.
Seta.
Because you're putting stress on this one. Manoseta.
Manoseta.
Stress, don't worry too much about. If you get the rhythm, because some chanting is done without any stress. Like Northern Thai, they would say Namo Tassa. Actually, they don't do it short or long either. But here in the Khmer, people do it. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sam. With no stress. Correct rhythm, but no stress. All right, Matthew.
Mano Maya.
Yeah. So short, long, short, long. And this, where's the stress?
No.
Mano Maya.
Mano Maya.
Okay, let's put these two together for Matthew F.
Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so manasa che.
Yeah, but say it with rhythm.
Manasa che.
The first two are short, so they get half the length of these. The second two, which are long. Matna sa ji. Matna sa ji.
Oh, I thought the stress goes on the ma because it's the the anti-penultimate.
That's right. Matna sa ji.
Manasa che.
But you're lengthening it. Stress is one thing, but you don't make it long. Matna sa ji.
Okay. Matna sa che.
Yeah.
Matna sa che.
And make the a little bit longer. Matna sa ji.
Manna sa che. Manna sa che.
And the A is also long, so you can make it long. Matna sa ji.
Matna sa che. Matna sa che. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. McGill, you get this one.
It's gonna be on the dut padhuttana.
You sure? Oh, what happened there? Are you sure?
Sorry, Bante.
Hello?
Sorry, I was pressing the push to talk and it was typing in the document. Yes, padhuttana.
Would you disagree with him? Besides me?
Yeah, stress on pay.
Why is the stress on te?
Because it's second to last and it's long.
Why is it long?
Because of
the
A.
A is long.
A is a long vowel. Yep.
Oh, right. Thank you.
How do we know it's second to last?
How do we know it's second to last? Well, we learn how to break syllables up. So syllables are formed. Okay, is someone still typing? What's going on here? Why is it moving me? Why is it moving me? Is someone messing with this? Does people have editing? Do you have editing privileges?
Yeah, I was erasing the push to talk button that I had put in there, but I shouldn't have erased anything else.
All right. Well, I'm gonna stop you from doing that. I think nobody should have editing privileges, right? Oh, I think it was because Okay. Whatever. Editors. Huh. Wait, you're able to edit it?
Yeah, I pushed the.
Editor before or something? No, there's no editor.
I don't know what the permissions were last year.
Can you try editing the document?
Yes, I just tried and I'm able to edit it.
It looks like people have permission to add suggestions. So you see where it says get link, Bante? If you click change under anyone, then you can change it so nobody can comment. If you just make them viewers.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So syllables are formed around vowels. So each vowel constitutes a syllable. That's where you start. I should have maybe made that a little more clear. This is how we do it. Okay. Now the question is which consonants go with which vowels, but that's not really important. We still know that this is the second to last consonant, the second to last syllable, because it's the second to last vowel. So there's your answer. How do you know it's the second to last kilt syllable? Because it's the second to last vowel. The consonants that precede the vowel always go with the vowel. If there's more than one, then it takes all but one. Let's put it that way. If there's more than one preceding it, then it takes all but one, which means this one gets the one that's left over. So if there were three, it would take two and leave the third, which we saw. This is only a single consonant, remember? So we have one consonant, and the second consonant goes with this one. So that's simply how you separate them. The one before the vowel goes with the vowel. Here, the one before the vowel goes with the vowel. And here, all but one go with the vowel. So this one goes with two. So this gets two. So this is the second to last syllable. Was that your question, or were you asking how do we know that the stress goes on the second to last? What question exactly? The stress goes on the second to last because it's long. If it wasn't long, it would go on the third to last. So whose turn was it? Go ahead and say this one.
Paduttena.
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 All right. Ulu, you get two here.
Basati wa.
Yeah, give me rhythm. Give me rhythm.
Basati wa.
This one is still short. There's no accounting for space. Spaces don't change the rhythm. They don't add to the rhythm. This one is still short, and it's as though it was one word. Basati wa. Basati wa. Basati wa. Basati wa. Where's the stress?
Bha.
Yeah. Bhasati wa. Bhasati wa. Royston?
Since the stress is on karoti wa.
Give me rhythm first.
Karoti wa.
No, D is short, so ro is long, wa is wrong.
Oh,
Karoti wa. Karoti wa.
Karoti wa.
Give the O some length. Karoti wa.
Karoti wa.
Karoti wa.
Karoti wa.
Yeah, D is short, so don't give it any length. Karoti wa. Wa is also long.
Karoti wa.
Karoti wa.
Karoti wa.
But where is the stress?
It's in row.
Ro, you got it. Karoti wa.
Karoti wa.
Karoti wa.
Karoti wa.
Bhasati wa. Karoti wa. Bhasati wa. Karoti wa.
Bhasati wa. Karoti wa.
And don't say it karoti. How we would say in English. Karoti.
Karoti wa. Bhasati wa. Karoti wa.
Bhasati wa. Bhasati wa. Karoti wa.
Bhasati wa. Karoti wa.
Bhasati wa. Karoti wa.
Bhasati wa. Karoti wa.
Good. Okay, Sanda, you get some short ones.
Tatonan.
Tatonang, where's the stress?
On none?
No, there's no stress.
No, there is no stress.
Yeah,
correct.
It's a trick question.
But is it the nigahita no? No?
Ang. Yeah, this would be N. Nan. Tatonandu.
Yes.
Tato
Because of the,
nandu.
yeah.
Tato nandu. Yeah, it's a good question. Tato nandu.
Tato nandu.
So we have short, long. Tato nan. Tato nandu. Sean?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Dukamawiti.
Dukaman. Wait.
Dukamawiti.
Yeah, except this is long as well. Oops. This is long as well.
Dukamanwiti.
Dukamanweti. 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 Dukamanweti.
Dukamanwiti.
Weti. We has the stress.
Weti.
Dukamanweti.
Dukamanwiti.
Dukamanweti.
Dukamanwiti.
Give the do a little bit more length, maybe. Dukamanweti.
Dukamanwiti.
Okay, Zay, to try this one.
Kamwa or
Say it again.
uh,
Were you here last week?
I was, but I think I missed most of it.
Okay. So the letter C is pronounced ja. So this is chakamwa, 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 chakamwa. Sorry, the stress is on the kam. Chakangwa, chakangwa. I think this would be an M because wa is labial, so I think it might be chakamwa. Chakamwa. Chakamwa.
Chakamwa.
And this is long, short, so it's chakamwa. Chakamwa.
Chakamwa.
Chakamwa. Chakamwa wa. Chakangwa wa hato. Chakangwa wa Chakangwa wa hato. Because these are all three short. Chakangwa wa hato. Chakangwa wa hato padang. Chakangwa wa hato padang. Also short here. Padanti. This is because it's a quote, but this would normally be a nigahita. This is a nigahita that has been changed to an N because of the T. Padanti. But it should be padang, which means the foot. Chakang wa hato padang. Matno pumbanggamadam. Matno setha manomaya. Matnasa che padutena. Bhasati va karoti va. Tato nang dukkaman veti. Chakang va vahato padang. Chakang va vahato padang. This is wa, not wa. Chakang wa vahato padang. Not easy, huh? If you didn't know the rules, there's no way anyone would say that correctly with the correct rhythm. So that's the lesson for today.
Ante, what is the T?
Ti comes from iti. The word iti is used, iti means thus. So it's used for quotes. The Pali wouldn't have a quote. The Pali would look like this in whatever script, but there would be no quotation marks. But the ti means that this whole thing is a quote, saying thus. So how you would translate it in Thai they're very pedantic in a good way. It helps you really understand the grammar. They would say, this Dhammadesana, thus, and then they quote it, or maybe starting with, they might say, this Dhammadesana starting with was spoken bhasita. Actually, sorry, I'm not even enough because there's another T here. This is how complicated it is. I'll give you a taste of how complicated Pali can be for translating. So this is another quote. So the actual translation in Thai would be a question thus. Iti thus. A question thus. This Dhammadesana, Dhamma talk, was spoken. This Dhammadesana thus, and so on, was spoken kata in regard to what? No, where? Sorry, where? Kata, where? Where was this Dhamma talk starting with this verse spoken? And then here you have to add an answer, thus, Sawati, or in Sawati. And then you would have to say a question, thus, actually, I think it would even be a question asked by Ananda. I think you'd have to say it like that in your translation. It's been a long time, but it would have to be a question asked by Ananda. Thus, and then here again, Ananda asks the question. Yeah, I'm not even sure it would be Ananda. In regards, this means in regards to what? And then an answer, thus, it was spoken in regards to Jakupala Tera, the Tera named Jakupala. So the T here, just to answer your question, it means thus, and it puts it's in English how we would use quotes. You'll see it all over the place, right? Here's another one. And you have to remember it's iti. The word is iti, so it coalesces with the word before it. That's why this is a long i. This would normally be a short i, but because it's a quote, it shares with that. This is something you're going to come across a lot in the grammar that will throw you for a loop in the beginning. Here as well, lengthened because of the t. But we'll get into sandhi later. I don't think we get into sandhi for a little while anyway. Next week we'll get into the types of words. Why do I not do sandhi? I guess sandhi is much later, huh? Yeah, page 33 we'll get into sandhi. But I'll be talking about it a lot before that because I'll have to point out examples of it. But first we have to learn words before we can learn how words coalesce. So next week, words. Any other questions?
Is there anything that you could give us to practice until the next meeting?
Well, that's a good question. What's your homework? Well, why don't you memorize the verse? There's a good homework. Memorize the verse, and that means being able to say it with the correct rhythm and stress. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
I have a question, Bente.
Yeah.
When you see at the end of something that it's the quote, how do you parse backward and detect the start?
A very good question. You learn. You get good. You study.
Thanks.
On my final Sanskrit exam, the final exam, Sanskrit also doesn't have quotation marks. So again, you have this problem. And I read through it, the class was having so much trouble that the exam was actually dumbed down. It was supposed to have Sanskrit to English and English to Sanskrit, which we had been learning the whole year. But because of how much trouble people had been having, he removed the English to Sanskrit. So it was just one big Sanskrit passage that we had to translate into English. And I read through it and I couldn't get it. I said, there's something wrong with this because this quotation doesn't make any sense. And I went to him and I said, is there something wrong with this? Are you sure there's not a mistake here? And he said, I can't give that to you. And I said, okay, but you're sure it's right? He said, yeah. So I went back and I realized I had put the quote, like something like here, I had put the quote one word too early. And so it made no sense what this word was doing. And then I realized, oh wait, that word's in the quote as well. And then I got it right. You'll see in this paragraph, I think, no wait, not in this paragraph, let's see. In the chapter 2, in part 2, this one. Is it? No, sorry, that's not. But there's a similar problem of what goes with what. You're going to see how hard it can be to decipher. It's a hard language. It takes a lot of work and a lot of skill to be able to translate. So there's a lot of work you're going to have to put in.
Does the quoting occur in the suttas as well with the iti?
Yes.
And is it usually presented as this paragraph is the quote, or you have to kind of think through it?
No, it's not presented in that way. But you'll see that most English or Roman transliteration versions have quotes added. Like this was taken from the digital Pali reader, which has quotes added. So it's made easier. But if you read like the Devanagari, it's much harder because there's no quotation.
But after the verse which is in italics, the two questions are also quotations, aren't they?
Yes, so except here, it's omitted. So the question, are you going to see them? You almost always will. But there are cases where the T is omitted and you have to understand it. That in fact, I mean, it's omitted because you don't actually need it. You can just reply. The reply can be, well, it should be there actually. Because these are answers. And so they should have iti. I mean, technically. But when you write it out, of course they don't.
So those are... Sorry.
There are going to be examples of quotes without iti, and you just have to understand it as implied that it's supposed to be there.
So there is a sentence formed by word?
Sorry?
That is a sentence that has only one word?
Yes, Pali is able to get rid of lots of words, and they have to be assumed. But this isn't a very good sentence, but it means in Sawati. But we say that in English as well. If someone asks you, where was this Dhamma teaching spoken? You can answer by saying in Sawati. Right? And you can ask, on what subject? But that's not a complete sentence, but you still would ask that. On what subject? And the answer is the Elder Chakupala. Now, in Thai, as I said, they make you add all the missing words when you do the translation. And you have to make a complete sentence. So this wouldn't stand. You couldn't translate this as the Elder Chakupala. In fact, I think they might make you say that Dhamma teaching was taught on the subject of the Elder Chakupala. That's how you'd have to translate this one word, Chakupala Terang.
Question marks and punctuation, all that appears in the suttas?
Some. I think question marks do in the ancient text, but I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure of that. There's 3 ways that questions are made, and I think the question mark is one of them. But the one way is just with this. The ka words are question words, and we'll learn about them in a while. So when a sentence starts with a ka word, you know it's a question, because sometimes it will look like this. There won't be a question mark. And in fact, I think many cases there's nothing. There's just, there's a different thing for a period. But you know it's a set question because of the ka, or you would know. The third way is raising, like we do in English. Kang arabati. Arabati? Did you do it? Right, we raise the in English. Kang arabati? Actually, I don't know that you do that. I think you'd only use that for yes or no. Gata? If I said gata, it means, did that person go? Is that person gone? And you hear me raising at the end. That's how you say in English. We do that, and apparently in Pali they do that as well. Gata? Gata? Did they go? Gata?
Thank you, Bhante.
Sorry, it would be gata? Gata? Did they go? Gato? Gato? Did he go?
Bante, does anyone use Pali for speaking to each other?
Some places in Burma, in Myanmar, I think.
Wow.
One thing we tried to do a long time ago that I was really interested, I think is a really good idea, and it was much more challenging than I thought going into it, was doing text chat in Pali. So we had a text box, kind of like this document, but this was early 2000s, so the technology was a lot less advanced. We had something like this, and we would take turns just in our free time composing a sentence, a question, or a sentence. And then the next person would come and read the document, and they would add a sentence below it as a conversation. And it was a lot harder than I thought. The person who I was doing it with ended up giving up because they just weren't very good in Pali. But it was quite a challenge. If you ever get good in Pali, we could do that. You need a really good command of the grammar to be able to make proper sentences. I think I'd probably be a lot better at it now. But it was surprising how much work it took.
Well, there's no words for modern words, I guess, right? There's no word for computer, I'm guessing.
You could make one.
Or you just make one.
There's a word for television, for example, which means seeing things far away, duradasa. Something that allows you to see things far away. And a phone is a durasada, to sound from far away. Something like that. Or no, sappa. I don't know, satta maybe? Sutta? I can't remember. To be able to hear things from far away. But no, you wouldn't be able to talk about current events or anything like that. You would talk about Buddhism or ordinary things like cows and pastures.
Bhante, does Pali have its own script?
No.
Do you know why that is?
Well, it was spoken at the time of the Buddha. There wasn't much writing. There was some, but merchants used writing. Religious texts didn't use writing. Like for the Vedas, for example, it was all an oral memorization tradition. They were living in the forests. They didn't have pens and paper was probably fairly expensive. And they wrote letters, but they wouldn't commit teachings. Their memory was pretty good, so they would just remember them and chant them and that sort of thing. Much better way to carry them around. They didn't have telephones with the entire Tipitaka on them.
Thank you. So,
could you imagine a monk having to lug around even a portion of the Tipitaka?
So I assume when they were written down, they were just written down with the local script, but
yeah,
sort of like we're doing with Roman letters, just designating it as a Pali sound.
Yeah, the thing is, other scripts were designed around languages like Pali, like Devanagari. The alphabet fits it. And the same goes with Myanmar, Thai, Laotian, Khmer, and Sinhalese. All of those have very similar alphabets. I mean, there are other alphabets in India as well that are very similar as well. Gujarati, I think. I'm not sure, but we have a couple in the digital Pali reader.
Bhante, would the monks chant the Buddha's teaching while the Buddha was still alive?
Yes, I think so. There's even one sutta that's called the Reciting Together Sutta. That maybe wasn't from the time of the Buddha, but it's supposed to be. I mean, that's the orthodox explanation. But yeah, quite very well could have been. It's supposed to have been Sariputta that put together this list of things to chant, to memorize.
Is there a record when this was scripted first? When
it was written down?
Yeah.
A king wrote it down first, I think.
Do you know what time around? Time of Asoka?
Well, Asoka didn't. He put some of it on pillars, I think.
Yeah,
names
puts,
of it on
pillars.
pillars.
On pillars. Yeah.
I don't think he wrote it down though. I don't know. All that information you can find of it on the internet. Study yourself. Don't ask me.
I have a technical question, if I may. With Nigahita, for instance, here we have it at the end of the sentence, the sentence formed by one word, and then how in this instance is ng as well. If you take a look at the afterwards, but you would watch the following sentence to.
I'm not sure. Probably not, actually, because there would be an actual stop.
So it will be always ng.
Ang.
Ang. So, okay. Thank you. And can you tell us again Vahato, because the stress is on wa, but
Wahato.
Hato.
It's still short, so Wahato.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's all then. Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante. You too.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.